seen 10 times before. Where's the show that offers more? 2, 3, 4. Give me a little new music. How about a little new music? Too much time with the news has got me feeling news sick. Let's try a little new music.
This is the first time I'm premiering Mansplaining, my song from Glass Ceilings. A Little New Music is such a wonderful place to premiere a new musical theater.
I think it's great to introduce, my stuff to a new audience and also be part of a community that both values new musical theater and also supports it.
I had a song and a concert, and it felt like a really safe audience that really was in tune with what I was trying to say.
I came from the Bronx to come sing here. I'm singing Dance Floor. It's a new song from the Broadway show Talk to Me.
The song I get to perform tonight is called The Only Straight Boy in the Room, which really spoke to me.
I am singing a new song, Karner and Gregor's song called Fractured Fairy Tale. It's really exciting because we get to put our spin on it, and you're really a part of that process too, of bringing a show to reality.
Best talent in town, the best writers around the globe. It's not a casual cabaret, it's a highly produced concert.
This is my first time seeing A Little New Music. It gives you a little taste of what's new and what's to come, and it just makes me excited because I want to see every single show now.
I really think people need to come and experience hearing songs that have not been performed before. There's something incredible about hearing it for the first time.
Ballads, up-tempos, jazzy tunes, old school Broadway type of songs. Sometimes like the next Sondheim shows up, and you get to be a part of that.
Let's try a little new music. Come on, guys. Let's try a little new music. A little new music, that's the name of the show.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome back to A Little New Music Spotlight Series. I'm Keela, and I am one of our volunteer producers. So since 2013, A Little New Music has presented a myriad of fast-paced hours of new and unheard musical theater, and we are so very happy to be back with you tonight.
Hi, Keela. Remember when we all thought that summer 2021 was going to be off the hook, and then Delta said no way. Look, no matter what, we plan on enjoying tonight with all of you. Still in this virtual format, it's all right. It's fine because you know what? We have an awesome writing team that we're excited to share with you tonight. We know you're going to love them. And by the way, hello, everyone. My name is Luke, and I'm also one of our co-producers.
Very true. So as an all-volunteer effort, A Little New Music does rely on your support in order to compensate our writers and our performers. So do you see that QR code screen there? Anytime during the show, now or later, please scan that code and use the link to make a contribution. We would really appreciate it.
It is your contributions that help us to keep doing these shows, bringing one amazing writer after another to your screen. We also want to thank two organizations who have continued to provide support to our work, the ASCAP Foundation and New Musicals Incorporated, both of whose websites are now on the bottom of the screen.
That's right. Okay, everybody, in a few minutes, we'll talk to our guests and we'll have questions for them as well. So in addition to scanning that QR code right there, you can type your questions into the live streaming chat, and who knows, your questions may get asked live on the air.
Y'all, I am very excited for tonight's guests. In 2018, they received the BMI Foundation Jerry Harrington Award for Outstanding Creative Achievement in Musical Theater.
Their work has been featured at New York City Center's Front and Center, the Original Musicals of Tomorrow with Tom Kitt, the BMI Workshops Smokers and Showcases, Duplex's In the Works series, and Musical Theater Radio's In Between the Lines show. I almost said In Between the Sheets.
Well, you didn't, but then you did. You know what? There is so much for us to see and discuss. So you know what? Let's just bring our guests on the show. Everyone, let's welcome Jessica Fleitman and Rick Bassett to the show.
Now take a bow.
Hi.
Bowser video, but hi, thank you for having us.
We are so excited to have you here. So now, Jessica and Rick, in addition to all of your credits, Jessica, I don't know if you remember, but you won the Chairs Award from NYU Tish's School of the Arts.
I do remember that. I was there. Thank you
good.
for bringing that up.
Right. Just want to refresh your memory. And Rick, you are a MAC Award nominee. MAC stands for Manhattan Associates of Cabaret.
That's right. Association of Cabarets. Yes.
Fantastic. I could go on and on. You know, I could have danced all night. So my first question to you both is, what inspires you to write music?
I just love telling stories, and I've always loved musical theater. I like to think of myself as a musical person, but I do not make music myself. I cannot read music. I don't play any instrument, but I came from at first a fiction writing background, which was really solitary. And then I started working on plays, and I was like, wait, there's other people who will like play in my brain, and we can all do this together. And then there's also, of course, that connection with the audience as well. And then I started writing musical theater, and I'm like, wait, there's someone else next to you during those first messy impulses. And it just makes it really, really exciting. Like, and just creating a story is awesome. And also the process of creating that story is awesome.
And I got inspired. I always played piano and loved playing that and writing instrumental music and jazz and many other things. But once I got the chance to write for musical theater, the idea of using music as a way of telling stories and expressing characters beyond what the note said was a great inspiration.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to ask you a bunch more questions in just a minute. But first, we want to just note that in our live stage productions, which we've been doing for a number of years, as Keela noted at the top of this show, your songs over these years have been featured not once, not twice, but 3 times on our stage. So we're going to watch a couple highlights right now for our audience who's joining us tonight. And right before we do, though, could you give us just a little bit more context about what we're going to see?
Sure, I would love to. So the first 2 songs are from our musical in progress, The Average Sized Mermaid. So in the first song, our protagonist, Miriam, has recently been abandoned at the altar. And now she's trying to kind of hold it together at her job as a kindergarten teacher. And she's reading the children the story of The Little Mermaid. So that's the first song. In the second song you're going to hear, we meet the man who abandoned Miriam at the altar. And the contents of that song are basically his note to her about why he hasn't shown up at their wedding. And the third song is just a standalone song we did for fun around the winter holidays, which is when usually the baby gets cold outside discourse begins about whether it's a sweet, fun little seduction or if it's creepy and rapey. So we decided to write, a contemporary, sex-positive, consent-centered version of that for our times. And I think that's about it.
All right, well, let's check them out.
Let's hear it.
You chose The Little Mermaid, a classic little book. Let's read The Little Mermaid. Let's take a little look. You might be thinking right away, the title's sort of not okay. Why focus on her little size and all the bad things that implies? The focus should be on her heart, for she is kind and she is smart. And there are men who say they love the you within, then they call off their wedding when the size 2 marches in. Isn't it nice to know things? Learning is so fun. Isn't it nice to know things? Learning's never done. Let's see what our mermaid's up to. She saved the prince from drowning. She could have left him dead. I'm sure she won't regret it. Now let's just skip ahead. She gives away her tail here. She gives away her voice to be with her beloved. Seems like a solid choice. 'Cause though it seems the prince is nice, she will regret such sacrifice.
Love fell on me while walking through the quad. Love fell on me. It was an act of God. It's like some lightning struck a tree, and then that tree fell right on me. Except the tree was love. Love fell on me one bright and sunny day. Love fell on me. So what else can I say? It's like I spilled my mocha frap. Shit, made a big mess on my lap. Except the frap was love. Love fell on me. I'm in love with a girl named Ashley. She was a student in my class. She just turned 21. So you wanna stay here?
Maybe yes means yes.
I just wanna be clear.
Maybe yes means yes.
I really just want informed consent.
When I said yes, that's what I meant.
Cause if you have some hesitation,
I accept your invitation.
You can always cuddle instead.
Yes, it's what I literally
Don't want a Harvey Weinstein situation.
I'm giving my affirmation.
Would you like to get in my bed?
Yes, as I repeatedly said.
Are you really sure?
Babe, without a doubt.
Should we discuss more?
Babe, I've spelled it out.
Cause if you're not down, that's not a crime.
I've said yes like 50 times.
Those hashtag #MeToo posts left me
I'm sure it
shaken.
was a lot to take.
So many guys are such a hot
Yeah,
mess.
that's true. Now let's go on.
But if you're sure,
I'm pretty sure, babe.
They're all so good. I just want to comment on all of them. Of course, the very talented Jessica Reiner Harris, and and then the couple at the end where like it's almost like the guy is just in awe, like he's just in denial, and you know she's like yes means yes. It's just really funny and very appropriate for our times. So thank you for that. Great. So let's just move on with the questions. How did you two become Fleitman and Bassett? How did you meet? Was it kind of like on the street? Was it at a workshop? Take us back to your first
Yes. So
hangout.
we met in the BMI Musical Theater Songwriting Workshop. We were accepted the same year, and the first year of that program is kind of like speed dating for composers and lyricists, where they'll match people up and they'll say, hey, write a song for this moment, usually from a movie, just to kind of figure out how to write songs, learn how to write songs. And unfortunately, Rick and I were never paired up that first year. We admired each other's work from afar. And then the second year, you choose one person to work with the entire year and do a project. And Rick and I took a risk, because we hadn't worked together. So there could have been some weird like chemistry issue where it didn't quite work out, but ended up being quite a lovely collaboration, and we've been Fleitman and Bassett since then.
Indeed. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so what was your first interaction like when you first started working together?
Well,
yes means yes.
Yes means yes. Well,
yes.
Jessica had written a song in the workshop with a different composer, and it was the first song, and I admired it a lot, and so it made me think it'd be great to write with her. And since the automatic scheme of assigning composers and lyricists did not bring us together that first year, we started talking at the end of the time, and found we had a lot of interest in common and really hit it off. The rest is history.
Name one interest you have in common.
Writing musicals.
Oh, come on.
Shows. We also, I think, are both just kind of drawn to things that are quirky and a little bit off the beaten path, in terms of just the kind of stories we want to tell. We also like characters, I think, that go a little against the mold, and we like kind of, I think, subtly commenting on some of the like power structures that exist in our society that maybe are not the greatest, but hopefully in an engaging, fun way, and not in like you're being preached at in an obnoxious, strident way. So I think kind of that marriage of entertainment and heart, and hopefully a little bit of brain as well. I think we're just kind of on the same page there.
I definitely see some strong female characters, which is great. And so how do you work together? Is it kind of, one person writes a lyric or a poem and then the music comes, or are you both kind of can do both, right?
Well, I think we separate what we do pretty strongly in that Jessica does pretty much all lyrics and I do pretty much all music.
But by pretty much he means he does all the music, because I can't write.
Every now and then Jess might hum a little tune and I better not use that.
Yeah, if it comes from me, you probably shouldn't use it. You're right.
Right. But often we start with a conversation. Jess writes such great stories and such great characters. And so once we know what a character is doing clearly and what the song is supposed to accomplish, having that conversation is really the beginning of everything. Then after that, we can often decide whether to do the lyrics first or the music first. And often, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, and I was just going to say, often the intent or the tone of the song will determine how we write it. For example, if it's a comedy song and the jokes have to land in a certain place and the timing is so important, we'll often start with the lyrics first, or at least one little section of lyrics. I don't usually hand Rick like an entire song written. I'll send like a section, and then he'll write music. But if we have a song that's like a ballad and something really anthemic, something that's a lot more music driven, it will usually start with a musical idea that Rick has, and then I'll be the one who fits lyrics into what he's come up with. But I'd say it's a pretty organic back and forth process. And while I'm working on setting lyrics, Rick will be working on the music for the next section, and vice versa. Like a lot of our songs, I honestly can't remember if they were lyrics first or music first, which I guess is maybe good. I'm going to decide that's good.
Yeah. Often there's such a back and forth that it just develops, and often it's great. At the beginning, we're often in the same room, or now the same virtual room, and she'll be jotting down lyrics, and I'll be noodling around on the piano and trying to figure out things, and then it just goes.
Yeah, and I feel like we have a good back and forth as well, where like I don't think Rick's capable of writing a bad tune. All of his music is always great, but if there's something that's not quite working for the story, or if I have a lyric that isn't quite jiving, Rick doesn't feel like the character would say that, we can say those things to each other, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's about telling the story the best we can. It's not about our egos or our feelings. And I feel like we're able to really come together, and we both are just really committed to doing the best we can in service of the story we want to tell.
So we had an audience question that popped up there while you were talking that was kind of relevant to what you're sharing with us, which is, do you ever get stuck in the story and maybe not have an idea where it's going?
Oh, yes.
Maybe you have more, or maybe a little more than that, like you have multiple ideas where it could go and you're trying to sort of figure out what that is. Yeah,
no, for sure. It's definitely challenging. I kind of compare figuring out story to, and I think I stole this from E.L. Doctorow, actually. I think he's the one who originally said it about writing, where it's like you're driving at night and you have your headlights on. So it's like you can see what's right in front of you, but you can't see the whole road, and you can't see if there's, something you're going to run over, or if you're going to end up in a ditch somewhere. It's like you can only see a little bit ahead of you, and it's a little frightening, and sometimes you do get stuck, and it's scary, because also there's also the paralysis of too many ideas, where it could go in so many different directions. So it's about thinking, going back to the kind of initial impulse of like, why did we want to tell this story? What are we trying to say? and what do we think is going to dramatize that the best. But yeah, no, getting stuck and not knowing where things are going is a major part of the process, at least ours.
For sure.
I love that. I love hearing
that's a great analogy of driving in the dark with your headlights.
Yeah, apologies to EL Dr. O if I butchered it, but that always resonated with me because that's how it feels.
Well, so I'm going to just pause in the audience questions because we're going to get to them. We've got some time coming up in just a moment where we're going to take a bunch more audience questions.
Burning questions.
I just want to acknowledge, like, we're getting a lot of great questions in the chat. I also want to acknowledge, hi Diane. I saw that my former coworker from many years ago is joining us tonight. I had no idea that
my friend from high school. Small world, hi Diane.
Small
hey, Diane.
So we're gonna one of the things that we love to do, and we've been doing with a few of your songs on our live stage, and we're going to do right now with our audience here with us tonight, is bringing new and unheard musical theater to our audience. And you wrote something recently that is making its world premiere right now. It's making its world premiere right now. Could you give our audience just a little context for what we're about to see?
Yep, I would love to. So this is also from The Average Sized Mermaid. At this point in the story, Miriam has accidentally transformed into a mermaid, like you do. We've all been there. And her boss / friend, it happens. We've all been there. I try to write things that are relatable, so I feel like this is really hitting the mark there. But her boss / friend, Lewis, has been trying to help her figure out a way to turn human again. And one night, they kind of stay up late talking and kind of bonding, and maybe some drinks are involved, and they fall asleep on the couch. And the next morning, Lewis wakes up, and they're kind of spooning, and his arm is sort of trapped under Miriam, and that's the moment we've chosen to musicalize. Oh, and also, I should mention that Lewis is a widower and hasn't really dated since he lost his wife, and I think that's all you need to know.
Perfect.
Well, we like to stay on brand here in a little new music, and this is for you folks. World premiere.
Okay, I'll just move my arm. Okay, well, ow. I guess I'm sorta trapped here. I guess I live here now. I kinda need to pee. I really hate to be so uncomfortable. Oh God, this is so weird. I'm feeling some alarm. And not just 'cause I've lost circulation in my arm. Her tail is pretty gross, and we are far too close. I'm uncomfortable. So why can't I get up and walk away? Why is something telling me to stay? It's been years since I've been trapped like this. Could it be it's something that I miss? But no, I've learned to sleep alone. I've learned to like my space, not smelling morning breath like something died inside her face. This really is a pain, so why do I remain this uncomfortable? I mean, I could get up, and if it wakes her up, so what? I'm gonna get up, yes, right now. But, I mean, she had a stressful day yesterday. She probably needs her rest. Yes, I should let her sleep, 'cause if I wake her now, then she might think we, although I don't know how. What parts have mermaids got? Let's stop that train of thought. It's, of course she stole the sheet, so I'll just grab, oh geez,
freeze. She's like a fish burrito, while I will probably freeze. But I feel strangely warm. This really isn't normal. I forgot what it's like to start the day. Inconvenienced in this specific way. Is it something I forgot to miss? Is there comfort in discomfort like this? But no, this isn't fun. This angle hurts my back. And I'm her boss, and she's a fish. There's lots here to unpack. But let her dream her dreams. Can't wake her when she seems so comfortable. So comfortable. So comfortable. So comfortable.
What are you doing?
Uncomfortable.
Well done. It's like Splash meets Company, and with a little bit of.
That's what we're going for.
I'll take it. Right? Can that be the tagline?
So
Do our
and
advertising.
and fish burrito.
Yeah.
I'm just.
That's a new term right there for y'all, for our audience.
It is.
There we
Also,
go.
And I think, Rick, was that your
Rick.
first time being on camera singing?
This is my first time, yes, singing, recording a video of me singing, and especially singing it in front of a public audience. Usually, I sing a lot when we're writing demos and stuff.
Rick's demos are my favorite.
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
Well,
that other
thank
people
you,
got
thank
to
you,
hear
thank
it.
you for sharing. To our audience, we know we have some of your questions. We're going to have queued up to ask in just a few minutes. But if you have any other questions from that or anything else as we've been going through this evening, now is your time to type them into the chat. We've now seen, Jessica and Rick, we've now seen 3 songs from what you described to us as your Little Mermaid adjacent musical, The Average Sized Mermaid. What is next for the show?
Finishing it.
Yes.
We're gonna finish writing it, which will probably be cool. And then, of course, we're hoping to, take it through the next stages of development, have, some sort of reading with our very smart and very merciless colleagues who can give us some real feedback and go back and try to make it even better and hopefully get it out into the world. But first, we got to finish it.
Yeah. And we're really grateful to the BMI workshop for being such a hospitable place for us to be working on it. We've gotten such great feedback and such a welcoming community of people to help perform it and to give us a community in which to work.
No, for sure. And of
Well,
course,
our audience is already predicting you're going to Broadway with this.
Great.
So
I love it. Thank you, audience.
it's not the Little Mermaid, it's the Average Sized Mermaid.
Right.
Yeah. More realistic beauty standards for mermaid sizes.
It's more digestible for sure.
It's like my brother-in-law likes to describe himself as extra, extra, extra medium.
I love it.
Oh, that's my size.
Nice. So which composers or songwriters, they don't have to be in the musical theater genre, but what songwriters inspire you? Who do you look up to? Jessica.
Me personally, I just in terms of musical theater writers, I love Ahrens and Flaherty, Kander and Ebb, also favorites. Sondheim, I know it's a boring answer because who doesn't love Sondheim?
Never
He's
boring.
Awesome. And Ashman and Menken, love him, which I'm sure is shocking to everybody that I ever watched The Little Mermaid / liked it. But I just think their work together is really incredible. And I go back to Ashman's lyrics a lot. So I just think he's such a wonderful lyricist and such a wonderful dramatist and storyteller.
For sure.
Very inspiring.
And I would agree with all of those. I would also add Adam Gettle, who I especially love for his harmonic sense and a sort of felt a little bit of that kind of harmony in this most recent song, but that's always just great inspiration.
Yeah, and Broadway royalty.
There you go. Indeed.
Can't
Awesome.
go wrong.
So let's bring up our first audience, or well, not our first, but I'll bring up an audience question. Johanna Castellanos asks, "What advice would you give to someone who wanted to do what you do?"
It's a good question.
It's a great question.
I would say go for it, but also
apply to the workshop.
I'd say apply to some sort of place where you can really learn the craft of musical theater, which I know sounds a little boring, but is really, really necessary, I think, because it's a fun,
necessary to collaborate.
Necessary to it's definitely to find collaborators and also to just learn the craft, and also just watch and listen to as many musicals as you can, because really, my first teachers were those Disney movies I watched when I was a kid. I learned, what it means for a protagonist to have an "I want" song. Just you kind of get it in your DNA. So I'd say, taking in as much of other people's work as possible, and also learning the fundamentals so you can put it into practice for yourself. And of course, just going after like what you want to do, telling the story you want to tell, and being true to who you are, I think it's also really important.
Agreed.
All right.
Well, Marshall Mays has a question. Go ahead, Keela. You can.
How has the pandemic shutdown affected your working together?
I'll jump in. I think, we definitely have missed being in the same room, because we really value working together when we're right next to each other and picking up those cues when, we can just look and see and experience things in real time. But that said, since we've now worked together for a while, we've built up, a certain understanding and trust of things. And so phone calls and Zoom meetings and all that we've been able to work without dropping a beat, as it were. We just keep on going. Also, I've been living overseas for a little while, and so oddly, I was able to be in touch with both Jessica and a lot of our other friends and musical theater performers, collaborators.
That's why I was first laughing at the question, because it's like, how does it change you working together? At that point, Rick had been overseas for a couple years, so it was like, well, we were Zoom collaborating before it was cool. But yeah, we for sure, the preference is to be in the same room. It just is better, and you can have that back and forth, because there's something about like, oh, I have to send an email about this thing, and then they have to think about it, then they send me an email back, and it's like, it's fine. Obviously, that's way better than it used to be back in the day, where people were, I guess, sending their collaborator letters on horseback. I don't know how it worked back in the day, but there is just kind of a magic that happens, and kind of an organic creative impulse that happens when you're in the same room. So I would agree with everything Rick said, but
yeah.
Eric Cornwell asks, does Jess also write the book, or do you work with others too? And I think a bit of context for some of our maybe less savvy members of our audience tonight, but you have your music, you have your lyrics, and then you have your book, which is the glue that holds all the songs together oftentimes in musicals. So Jess, is that something that you write as well, or
that is something I write as well, and that's actually where I feel a little more comfortable. I'm much newer to writing lyrics than to writing straight plays. Most of my background is in writing just plays. So yeah, I do write a book.
And this show is based on a play that Jess had written already.
That is correct. It is based on a play.
You already wrote the book for the average sized roommate.
Yeah, except like now, of course, I'm going back and I'm very critical of younger Jessica's book. So it's like I'm kind of Frankensteining it. But No, for sure. Like I like working on the book. Although I have been approached in the past to just write book for some other projects or just write lyrics for other projects. But I like doing both because I like words. I'm a words person. So I'm greedy and I want to do them both.
Diane Chang asks, what's your favorite musical or musicals, or are there any musicals that have been particularly inspired, particularly inspired your work?
Want to start, Rick?
Oh, sure. Well, I guess West Side Story is a great inspiration and influence, and that really knocked my socks off. And when I got to play piano in a high school production of that, that was pretty amazing. And then Light in the Piazza also is a great one. I was really thrilled to get to see that. And then Sweeney Todd, because who doesn't like murder and mayhem?
Yeah, I would say my favorite musicals it's like a tie between Ragtime, Next to Normal, Little Shop of Horrors, and Into the Woods. So that's all over the map tonally, but they all have, I love all of those shows, and they all have something beautiful in them that I aspire to.
E.L. Doctorow would approve.
Thank you. I would like to think so.
I think we have time for one more question here. Rachel Teagle asks, Rick, what's your favorite lyric of Jessica's? And Jessica, what's your favorite tune of Rick's? Oh, what a great question.
Wow. So many choices.
I know. I was like, that's really hard one.
Well, I think the first song that we heard tonight, Isn't It Nice, is one of my very favorite lyrics that Jess has written. It kind of defines the show. It sets the tone of the show so well, and all the amazing things. It's like all the basic themes that are coming out through the show compressed into one song. And so I just and it comes in such an unassuming package, because just like this little tune, Isn't It Nice? And then suddenly it just blows up into this epic thing. So it was really fun to write music and develop it with her.
No, and like this is like the hardest question ever, because Rick's music is incredible, and something I love about Rick as a collaborator and as a composer in general is like Rick is like honestly an incredible composer. Like he has so many dazzling tricks up his sleeve, and he is so knowledgeable in so many different ways, but he's never writing something to show how clever he is or how learned he is or what he is capable of. He's always he always is about serving the character. So it's hard to choose, because he's always just doing such a lovely, wonderful job. Like in Isn't It Nice, he's writing this, it's difficult to be that simple and to write music that with those kinds of transitions, and he's really he's just really awesome at that. So I'm kind of cheating and not picking one.
I was gonna say that's kind of cheating, Jess.
I'm cheating. Okay, so I'll answer real quick. If I had to choose like one, there's a song that we did not hear tonight. There's a song that we wrote the second year of BMI called "Feels Like Magic." That's kind of like, how would you describe it, Rick? Kind of like a
magical love ballad also involving supernatural power.
But it's also like kind of funky. It's got, because Rick's got that like kind of funky, like unexpectedly like funky, crunchy kind of like chords and souls in him, and it's just a full-on like funky ballad, and I really love that tune. That gets stuck in my head all the time, which is great but also rude. So I would say that might be his favorite just standalone tune. If I did my favorite standalone tune of his, if I had to pick one.
Awesome.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thanks, audience, for your questions. It's amazing to have people that are passionate about what we do, and of course, are supporters of our guests tonight. So, Jessica, Rick, we have a couple more questions we ask all of our Spotlight Series writers. Think of it sort of as inside the musical theater writers studio. And Luke and I are both a hybrid of James Lipton or James Lapine. So are you ready for your Spotlight?
Hell yeah,
Yes.
I'm ready.
All right. So what was the first musical you can remember seeing and the first Broadway musical you ever saw? Jess first.
The first musical I can remember seeing live that was like human people and I was in a theater with them and wasn't like a Disney musical. Is The Secret Garden. There was like, I think it was a touring production that came to my hometown in San Jose, and I was pretty young. I think I might have been like 4 or something. But I really liked it. And the first Broadway show I saw was a Disney musical. I saw Beauty and the Beast, which blew my mind and was amazing. I can't remember how old I was, not that old. Still pretty young, but just seeing how they transformed this animated movie into this incredible piece of theater was really, really awesome.
Cool.
And my first musical that I saw was a community theater production of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And I was a little kid and loving all the Peanuts comic strips and everything like that. It just knocked me out that, oh, real live people could be singing that. So I really dug that. And then also when I was pretty little, somehow I'd gotten the original album of Jesus Christ Superstar, and I was like playing the grooves off of that. And somehow I convinced my parents when I was very young to see that, the original production on Broadway, which was crazy 1970s insanity. And
that's controversial.
Right. Scary. Costumes that made my mother blanch. And,
wow.
And I think they were ready to drag us out of the theater, but somehow I managed to like allow ourselves to stay in our seat. But yeah, that made a huge impression on my very young mind.
I love it. All right, our second of our 3 Spotlight questions. Who would each of you drop everything to go see perform live, whether they're with us today or not?
Who should start? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, just because I love him and I'm a huge fan, Brian Stokes Mitchell. I saw the original cast of Ragtime, and that was like the first, like my sister and I think she was like 10 and I was 12. And like the only fan letter I think we've ever written was to Brian Stokes Mitchell after we saw that show. They're like, Brian Stokes, you are amazing. And I actually got to see him last week. He did a concert at Lincoln Center, and I got to go, and I was so happy.
That's cool.
Just hearing anyone singing live makes me happy, but especially because it was him. So that's my answer, Brian Stokes Mitchell.
And for me, since we also can go outside of musical theater realm, I had heard, I'm choosing Youssou N'Dour, the singer from Senegal, who's just a phenomenal performer, and he performed with Peter Gabriel a number of times. I've seen him in concert 3 times with his amazing band, and I'd go to see him anytime.
Is he the one on In Your Eyes?
Yes, he is. He's the guy who sings
Beautiful.
at the end of In Your Eyes. Yeah,
Wow.
He's amazing.
It's so moving. That's
Yeah.
Nice. Wow. Okay, great. One more question for both of you. Jess, who is going to play you in the musical version of your life?
Celebrity doppelganger I get the most is Anne Hathaway, which I don't see it that much beyond like being a brunette with brown eyes, but like I'll take it because she's super beautiful and she's a great singer and actress. So she just needs her like, Princess Diaries hair back, like her the before when she looked bad, because the Princess Diaries is anti-curl propaganda, but that's a conversation for another day. But I'm going to say Anne Hathaway. I would be quite honored if she would play me.
Rick,
same question for you.
And, yeah, I think in my imagination, I could imagine some powerful guy like John Raitt playing me with great strength. But though I'm probably closer in my temperament to Rick Moranis.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Honey, I Shrunk the Mermaid. I mean,
right.
let's do it. Well, thank you so much to both of you for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Before we
this is really
fun. Can you tell us just a little bit more about what's next for you? Give our audience a little taste of where they're going to see you next.
Well, finishing Mermaid is definitely top of the list. I'm also working on writing a TV pilot, because who isn't? And I'm teaching a playwriting class through Princeton Adult School in the fall. So that's what's on the docket for me.
Sweet.
And for me, also finishing Mermaid, we're just so psyched for
Glad
the
we're
show.
aligned.
Yeah. It is kind of a priority. Yeah. Also, I'm looking forward to the reopening of Caroline or Change. I was a co-orchestrator for that show when it first came out, and it was supposed to have its revival start last year, when of course didn't happen, and so we're hoping for October or sometime this fall. I've got a couple other orchestration projects in the works, and I'm also helping a West African singer with a show that is in development. TBD.
Amazing. I must be a fan. I saw the original Broadway production of Caroline or Change twice, and it's just one of my all-time favorites. So well done. Congrats on that.
Great show.
That's an honor to be part of.
Okay. Oh, I'm sure. So we can't thank you enough, Jessica and Rick, and of course the audience and your questions. Now, for all of you in the audience, you can watch all of Jessica and Rick's songs, the full versions of the pieces that you just saw, by going to our website, youtube.com/ALittleFleitman and Bassett.
No, not quite. youtube.com/ALittleNewMusic.
What did I say?
Search for a little.
Oh, the playlist. Okay, I'll do it again. youtube.com/ALittleNewMusic. Search for the playlist called Fleitman and Bassett. And if you don't know how to spell it, just look at the title of our show tonight.
That's right. And one last reminder that you can help us bring even more writers on our future shows by just scanning that QR code that's down there on the lower right-hand side of your screen, and give what you can. Your contributions go directly to our performers and writers, including Jessica and Rick.
We also want to give a shout out to our team working behind the curtain, as they say in showbiz. They have helped make tonight possible. Here is a Little New Music Spotlight Series executive producer, Amy Francis Schott. Come on, Amy, give us a bow here.
Yay!
Hi, y'all. And curly girls stick together. Yeah. What's about a before picture? Come on. I'm so delighted to have you guys on. Your songs are awesome. It was so much fun to be able to do Isn't It Nice and Jim's Note in literally like back-to-back shows. So it was like the clap back on that. So that was a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for doing that. I want to tell everybody to please tune in 3 weeks, because August has a lot of Tuesdays. But in 3 weeks, September 7th, the day after Labor Day, so no more white, for Sam Carner and Derek Greger, who are longtime A Little New Music favorites, so we should have a good time with that. And I want to say a special thanks to the people who have been helping out immensely. Ryan Baldwin, who is the StreamYard guru. He taught me everything I know, maybe not everything he knows. Oh, I like he even put that in his name. And Travis Leland, who is a fantastic performer in his own right and who has been telling me all sorts of useful stuff in the chat all night. So everybody works together and makes this all happen. So thank you.
Thank you. We also want to thank Peter Welkin and Chris Makish for their continued support.
Hi, Peter. Hi, Chris. We also want to acknowledge the ASCAP Foundation and New Musicals Incorporated for their support of our work as well.
Jessica, Rick, thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us. And thank you for just being so supportive of our work and letting us do this. This was super fun.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and
good night, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much.